In this video, I'll be going over my approach to building a room transition system where a character can move between rooms, teleporting their body from one room to the next. Just ignore the character and how terribly it was made. Please. Here we go. I'm going to make a blueprint, and this is going to be a basic actor blueprint. We'll place it in the world. It's going to be our BP level manager. And before we get into this, I'm just going to change the editor settings and adjust the asset editor open location to be main window. Alright, now that we're opening this up with our level, we're going to need a variable to hold the current level name, and we're going to create an event called request transition. So we'll add an event dispatcher as well, request transition. For now, we can go and delete all this, and drag this in and add the event. And the first thing we'll want to do when this is called is unload the current level. So we can drag out from here, unload, and we're going to do the stream level by name. So unload stream level by name, and we'll use our current level to plug that in to the level name. And just for the sake of seeing that when it completes, I'm going to add a print string here, unload complete. And this should unload our level. Continuing further, next we'll want to load a stream level, and we'll actually need to add an input for the event here, another name, and we'll call this toLevelName. So next we'll load stream level by name, and we'll hook this in here, add a couple little pivot points to make this a little nicer, and again we will print a string to verify that this completes. Load complete. Alright, and this is all we really need so far for the level manager. It should now be able to unload and load levels, but we don't have any levels to load, and there's a little bit more to do before we can really see this work. But that's a good start. Next we'll make a BP game instance. So we'll select another blueprint class, and this time do all classes, and do game instance. I'm going to select game instance for the base, like that, BP game instance. Open this up. We want a reference to our level manager. So update this to be BP level manager. That'll be an object reference to the level manager that we bring into our level. Next, we'll want to update our project settings to actually use this game instance for our game. So in here, we'll go to Maps and Modes, and at the bottom we have the game instance class. Currently it's set to game instance, and we want our BP game instance. This one will be the one used, and for the case of get game instance, we'll return this version of that game instance. Next, we want to supply this level manager to the game instance. So on begin play, we can get the game instance and cast this to our BP game instance. That will allow us to set the level manager, and we will do a reference to self here. And then just to get things started here, we want to actually load whatever the current level is. So we can do load stream level by name again, but not from there. So we can do load stream level by name again, and we can hold control and let go to automatically get a get here for this. And something I did not do when we were doing this, but we want to make visible after load and block on load, so we'll do this for both cases here. And then just for the sake of consistency, we can do a print string here, initial level loaded. Alright, now this is pretty good. We just need something to call and work with these request transition events. So now we'll make another blueprint class. This will be an actor as well. And I'm going to call it BP underscore door. Now we need to set up the hierarchy a little bit. We're going to need a box collision to represent the overlappable area for where the transition should happen from. And we'll drag this onto the scene root to make this our new root. Next, I'm going to add a child actor, And I'm going to make this a player start. So we'll have a good representation of the landing point wherever this is placed. And of course we'll need some sort of static mesh to visually represent this. Let's see, background cube. Cube should do well. I'm going to move the player start out a little bit, and I'll make the box a little bit bigger for now. That's a perfect match, sure. And we'll also need to remove collision from the static mesh. We only want it to be visual. So for now, this should be good enough. Next, we'll need a variable to hold where this door goes to. I'm going to call it connects to. And this is going to be a string, and we're going to make a function to build a door tag, which we will use as a reference to find doors in the level manager. So for this build door tag function, we're going to take in an input of type string level name, and the return is going to be a name tag. And the reason I do a string for the connects to is to simply pass it in here without any conversions, and we can convert it on the way out to the name type. So for here we're going to do append, and we actually want this there. So this will become to whatever the level name is. Then we can put this out with a little conversion, and we've got our little build door tag function ready. Next we'll want to use this in the construction, pull our build door tag in here, and we actually don't need this to have execution pins, so we can change it to pure here. And it's going to directly reference whatever it connects to is, and change that into the to connects to. So area 1 would become to area 1. Then we want to make an array out of the tag, make array, and then we want to set the tags on this object. Now we will have a tag that we can reference in our tag arrays to easily find this door when needed. Finally, we have the actor begin overlap, where we'll want to trigger the request transition. First thing we'll want to do is to make sure that this other actor is our player character. So we can say get player character, and we can do an equals on the other actor, plug in our get player character. We can hold B and left click to get a branch node. Pull this execution pin here, pull this condition here. If it's not our player character, we can just do nothing. But if it is our player character, then we'll want to get our game instance and make a reference to our BP game instance and get the level manager. So here we'll be able to reference our game instance, get our level manager, and then request transition. And we'll plug in our connects to here. That will convert again. And now this door, when overlapped by the player, should trigger the request transition to the level manager and unload the current stage, which is set in the current level name, and then receive the to level name and load that stage in. Next, we'll need some levels to actually test this out now. So I'm going to quickly build some levels to try this functionality out. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Control N to make a basic level. That way I get the atmosphere, the sky, all of that. And this is going to Control S save as my persistent level. And I'm going to delete the floor, as I'm going to be loading in all levels into this area and I don't need any structures pre-existing. Now I'll save it again, hit Control N again, and create a basic area. And now I'll make a very simple room. And let's see what our door is looking like. Not the prettiest, but it'll get the job done for now. So next, we want to have this level, which we'll save as area 0. And we want to add this to our persistent level. And we'll go into the level details here, which you can find in the window levels if you do not have it open. And in the levels drop down here, we can say add existing. And here's our area 0, open. And now we can see it in our persistent level. We can also hide it with the eye here if we don't want to see that, allowing us to look at specific rooms in isolation. Now, if we play our persistent level, we see nothing. because we haven't actually told this area 0 to load in yet. So now we're ready to add our BP level manager into the stage, but we need to make sure that the highlighted, bolded area is going to be our persistent level. If we drag this BP level manager into the scene now, it's going to add it to our area 0 level. And as you can see, here we're looking at the persistent level, and our level manager is not appearing in it. And as you can see, persistent level here. So let's remove this, double click on persistent level, and you can see this changed in the bottom right, our current context. And now let's drag our level manager in again, and you can see that it has appeared in our hierarchy. So let's hit play, and look at that. We've got our area 0 loaded in. Next, we're going to need a simple character that we can use to move around the stages and activate these doors with the overlap. So I'm going to make a very crude character for us. Create a new blueprint class. I'm going to select pawn and name this BP crude character. We'll open this up, and the first thing I'm going to do is give it a collider, or I'll say capsule, typical character collider. And I'll make this the root. Next, we'll need a static mesh of some kind to have a visual representation of our character, and this looks like it'll do fine. Bring down the scale a little bit. Sure, that'll work. Next, I'm going to add a couple components to help with how we're going to perceive this character. I'm going to add a spring arm and a camera. I'm going to rotate the spring arm on the y-axis a little bit to angle it upward, give us a bit of a top-down view. I'm going to bring the arm length back a little bit, give us more of a wide view. Next, we're going to need a game mode that we can set our custom character to be the default pawn class. So I'm going to create another blueprint class, look for game mode base, and select that as the blueprint base. I shall name this BP underscore game mode. We'll go into the edit menu, into the project settings, maps and modes, and select the default game mode to be our new BP game mode. And then for our default pawn class, we're going to swap this to be our BP crude character. Now, when we start this, we've got our character here, and the camera angle is from the top of the spring arm, so we have good perspective on our character to see it move around the stage and interact with things. Now for the really crude part of the movement. I'm going to remove all the existing events, and I'm going to add some keyboard events here. D, that's one. On pressed. Add world offset with capsule. And let's see what 50 on the X looks like when we press this. Okay, we're moving up, so we're going to want that on the W key. So let's bring in keyboard W, and we'll bring this down here. Instead, we can remove this line and copy this here. If X is moving us vertically, then it would make sense that Y is what we want for the horizontal. Let's try this out. Yes, D is moving to the right now, and W is moving up. Let's repeat this a couple times with A and S. Keyboard A, keyboard S. Alright, so we'll copy paste this up here, pressed, bring this into the -50, down here, S, copy paste, -50. So now we have our very crude character, where we can move around and do things. How exciting. Oh. Next, we'll want to make sure that when the event character overlaps, we get our game instance, the level manager is called, and the stage transitions. So we're going to need a second level now. So let's do Control N again, a new basic level. We'll save everything we've done so far. Sure, that'll work. And we don't really need the player start here. And we'll bring in a door here. We'll save this. We'll name it Area 1. And back into our persistent level, save selected, we'll add an existing level again, and we'll add area 1. So now we have two areas here, area 0 and area 1. I'll turn them off for now. And now we can look into area 0 here, look at this door, and we'll need to make the connects to instant editable, compile, save, persistent level, connects to area 1. So due to me taking the very crude character approach for getting this character moving around and testing this out, the getPlayer character, which returns the pawn for the player controller at the specified player index, we do not have a player controller tied to this. So for now, I'm just going to bring the false into here, and this is going to fail because we don't have a player controller. So now let's see. And there we go. One level unloaded. The new one loaded in. Alright, now we can go to area 1. We can update this door. Details, connects to area 0. Play, we can move up. We're now in area 1. We can move back down, and it loaded in area 0, but we can still see area 1 here. And that's because our current level is not actually updating to know where we actually are, and it's all falling apart. So let's fix that. Back in the level manager, there's a few things we'll want to do. Once we have loaded in the new stream level, we can update current level, and we'll want to update this to our 2 level name. So now as we load in a level, our current level will become that level, and we'll be able to load and unload consistently. So let's try it out. We're in the next area, and go back down, and there we are. We're jumping between levels. Very crudely. Next, we need to update our positioning so that we actually land at the door rather than just being where we are when the level changes. Currently, while it looks like our character is kind of moving, we're not really moving at all. The level is just loading around us and our position is staying the same. So next, we need to find the door that we should arrive at and update our player location to that door's player start location. To do this, we'll add a new function in our level manager. So we'll create that and we'll call it find exit location. This will take in a name from level name. So we know where we're coming from, and we can find the door that leads there and land at that door. And we'll return an output of type vector called exit location. And the first thing we'll need to do is append the 2 to our from level name to know what the tag is that we're looking for. So we can convert this to a string, append, and we'll take it from A to B, put 2 here, then we'll get all actors of class with tag. And now, here we have the tag that we need to find the door we want, and we'll change the type to BP door. We'll also want a success boolean here to know whether or not it was found, and this can help us later when we might hit issues or things not fully being connected. So we can check the length here. Length, if length is greater than 0, then we have the results we need. We can hold B and click to create a branch, plug in our condition, and plug in the execution pin. In the case of false, we can copy paste our return node and return with success unchecked. And in the case of true, we can return with success as true. In the case of true, we'll actually want to get the location of the child actor on this door. Get a copy at index 0. There should only be one door, and it should be the right door if there is a door. Door. Then we can get child actor, get world location, and plug this in. Alright, I think that'll work well. So let's put it to use here. After we load the level, let's try to find our exit location. And again, I'm going to make this pure. We have our from level name here, so we can plug this into our find exit location from our current level. We can hold B and left click for a branch again, plug in our success, and connect our execution nodes. And again, the crude character is coming to bite me in the butt. I really should have just made an actual character, but here we are. So I'm going to open up the game instance, and I'm going to create another variable here for crude character. Set the type to BP crude character object reference, and for our crude character, begin play event, get game instance, cast to BP game instance, and set crude character self-reference. Alright, so we've got that there, and now we can get our game instance here. In the case of true, we'll get our BP game instance, get crude character, set actor location to exit location. And we'll clean this up a little bit just to make it a little nicer. Then we'll want to complete into the set current level. And for this case of false, you can add a little print log here, log some information about the 2 level name, the current level, anything you'd like to understand more about what went wrong and why. At this point, I think we've got everything we need. Let's give it a shot. Oh, look at that. We're through the door. We're through the door. It's working. Alright. We've got 2 levels connected. Our very crude character is crudely being referenced to change its location as it enters doors. So how about it? Let's add one more stage here now. Alright, bring in another door, and this door is going to connect to area 1. We'll save this area as area 2. We'll head back into area 1, add a new door, adjust the rotation here a little bit, and update the connects to area 2. Alright, we've made a new map, we've made new doors. The last thing to do is add it to our persistent level. Add existing, Area 2, there it is. It's so beautiful. And it's even the Roman numeral 2. So let's hit play. We're in our square. We're in our triangle. There's our new door. Oh yeah. Now we can head back. Oh, it's so much more difficult to go diagonal. There we go. Oh, isn't that nice? And there we have it. We're streaming levels. Our character is moving through the doors, 2 different levels. And that's the gist of that. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on how this could be improved or a better take that could work a little better, please let me know in the comments below. I've just figured out the best way that works for me, and it's working well enough for me to continue, and I figured I'd just put it out there to the world to let other people see it and give feedback on it, because I'm still really new to Unreal, and I'm just learning as I go. After you leave a comment, like, subscribe, visit my website in the description, sign up for the newsletter, and you can get access to the things that I build and playtest anything that I'm working on, and I would love to have your feedback on any of it to best shape the games that I'm working on. And do something nice for yourself after this. Oh god, that's not